Have you ever been to a zoo? As a young boy on my first trip to the zoo, I secretly hoped that something was wrong with the animals. Because why else would you restrict a beautiful, capable creature into a small enclosure? Surely, I thought, only so much can happen day in and day out inside those walls. But what if I'd had an error of perception? After all, not all cages can be seen. What if our own intelligence shielded us from seeing the creation of the human zoo? What if through technology, expedience, and convenience, we've been enclosing ourselves into smaller and smaller boxes, and we haven't even been able to see it? What if the walls weren't physical or even visible, but instead were decreased immune function, increased mental illness and suicide, and diseases thriving in conditions known only to mankind within the past 100 years? I've been a health and fitness trainer for over a decade, and that's led me to working with thousands of beautiful, capable human beings, especially when they aren't feeling so beautiful and capable. And I help these people in my CrossFit gym. Now, a CrossFit gym is probably not what comes to mind when you guys hear the word gym. Rather than fill our walls up with mirrors and machines, we actually just have 4 empty walls with a lot of empty space. Quite literally, they're called boxes. And we fill these boxes up with expert CrossFit trainers, and they coach our clients to lead happier, healthier lives. Now, that's a harder gig than I make it sound. So why do we do it? Well, I'll make a bold statement on behalf of all CrossFit trainers. See, we believe we're the tip of the spear in the next era of human health care. We believe your physicians are beyond valuable. They are. They're like lifeguards. They're your last line of defense against drowning in a world of disease. CrossFit trainers are more like swim coaches. If you're drowning and need a lifeguard, you need a lifeguard. You do not need a swim coach. But if you need a lifeguard, you probably needed a swim coach and never got one. I wanted to know why some of my clients experienced rapid progress, and why some had much longer and chaotic paths on theirs, and why some, I felt like I'd failed. I wanted to know what was that common thread that could be pulled on to unravel what blocked my clients from change. So I set out on this journey, and it turned into 10 years of trial and error. I was seeking out practitioners smarter than myself. And at one point, I was writing and publishing everything I was learning and putting it online every day for 3 of those 10 years. As I would write, I began to see patterns. And I believe I found a common thread. It's a simple idea. To filter out misinformation and differing opinions, but distill down the simple, elegant truths about the connection between human health and physical activity. And it had been in front of me the whole time. It's a box. I believe every human being on this planet, knowingly or unknowingly, lives their life inside of a box of self-determined size. The sooner we can draw the lines of that box intentionally, the sooner we can improve the quality of life of every human being on the planet. Now I know what you might be thinking. Jeff, where's the box, man? I don't see anything. Well, see, sometime between kindergarten and adulthood, you and I began to do just about everything inside of a 3-foot by 4-foot box. It sits in front of the torso and directly above the hip. We sat down to practice ABCs in that box. We began typing emails in that box. Now, a lot of us work 8 or more hours a day inside that small box. We drive, we change the channel, we even escape inside of a small screen on a smaller box inside that box. Question for you. When was the last time you reached your hands overhead? or jumped. See, the wider you stretch your arms for hugs, the higher you go for a rebound from the hoop, the larger you draw your box. And the larger we draw our box, the better, because it means we'll hold on to that box longer. One thing I've learned over the past 10 years that's connected with all-cause mortality is sedentarism, the reduction of physical activity. And even though the science is solid, I know it doesn't do a great job of inspiring change. See, there's something else I've learned in 10 years. It's that stories do a better job. And I've always been interested in the stories behind the data. So, I'd like to share just one with you today. Meet my client, Cindy. Yes, Cindy does her own needlepoint on her shirts. When Cindy was in high school, she was a young, normal, active girl. She loved to swim. She only ever thought she might have weight issues when she saw images of Twiggy, a supermodel in the 60s. But mind you, she saw those images on a television screen, a small box. When Cindy was 26, she moved to Michigan with her husband, Hank. When winters were cold up there, Cindy would gain typical 4 or 5 pounds over the winter, but she'd always swim it off every summer until the stresses of adult life began to take priority, and Cindy stopped swimming. The normal weight gain over the winters was no longer balanced by the swimming Cindy did over the summers. Cindy's box became smaller. Then Cindy became a mother. She wasn't as active as she used to be. She didn't swim, so she didn't need as much good food to fuel that big box that she used to occupy with activity. So the stresses of being an adult and a parent were no longer balanced by swimming, general activity, and now good food. Cindy's box became smaller. Fast forward to age 59. Cindy's lived much of her life this way. Cindy weighed 285 pounds at the age of 59. She remembers seeing the numbers on the scale as she stepped on it, checking in for her first cancer surgery at the hospital. After surgery and chemo, Cindy was left the sickest and weakest she'd ever been. She now occupied the smallest box that she'd ever lived in. But she thought to herself, it wasn't always like this. I was healthy. And when I was active. I ate good food. Hell, I swam. Could it not be a little more like that again? It would not trying help my condition now, just a little. So, Cindy began to redraw her box. And for just a few minutes every day, Cindy would pedal a recumbent bicycle, and she'd read a book as she did it. And guess what? After just 30 days of doing that, Cindy was down 0 pounds. But she was feeling better. And so she started eating a little bit better. And then that led her to more feeling better. And pretty soon, Cindy's body had begun to change again. Not long after, her brother came up and said, a CrossFit gym's opening up nearby. Maybe you should go check it out. Now, Cindy told me that at the time, she didn't know what CrossFit was. And if she did, she wouldn't have gone. But I'm glad she had an open mind, because when she got there, more than a workout was waiting for her. She began meeting people genuinely interested in her showing up and expanding her box physically every day. And she would hear about it if she didn't show up. Since Cindy was meeting people, since she was having fun, she stayed. And after just 2 years, Cindy was down 100 pounds. We can stop right there and say that Cindy is the story behind the data. But wait, there's more. At this time, Cindy had become the main caregiver for her husband, Hank. And one morning, Hank fell. Cindy injured herself trying to help him up into a chair. We needed a new goal for Cindy. We needed Cindy to be able to safely lift and care for her husband. We were going to ask Cindy to expand that box larger than it had ever been done before and deadlift 200 pounds. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Jeff, she's over 60 years old. That's 200 pounds. You're crazy. You're a monster. Listen, when you got a big box, age is nothing but a number. So we started training. And in the process of training, Cindy became so fit and so capable that she was able to bring her husband, Hank, to my gym to meet me. And there I was, face to face with the inspiration for so much of her change and her transformation. And very shortly after that, Hank passed away. And when he did, Cindy had the love, help, support, and community of my CrossFit gym. Because you see, Cindy started pedaling a bike to expand her box physically. But then she started eating better and expanded it nutritionally. And then socially by connecting with others. And she filled that box with rich experiences that never would have happened had she not gotten on that bike. And when she did, she involved all of us. You could say that Cindy woke up at 59 and decided to write a brand new life. Now you might be wondering if Cindy actually deadlifted that 200 pounds. Well, this is the part where I show you a video after telling you a speech and accepting an applause. But I thought it would be better if I could bring the story to you. So if you want to expand your box a little bit and turn to the side, that right there is Cindy. Did you get it? Did you get it? Thumb up or thumb down? Yeah. Atta girl. Expand your boxes big. And when you do, don't be afraid to think and, more importantly, step outside the box. You may surprise yourself, inspire another to do the same. Thank you.